Little ducks, there's trouble in Russia. So they called us.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am the Mackerel One, and yes, today is a big, huge day, because we are going to be doing our very first, our first iconic film review, and that review will be of the movie, the masterpiece, Crimson Tide. Yes, Crimson Tide, which is a Tony Scott film, and it starred Denzel Washington, and it starred Gene Hackman. Two masters of the game, going head to head in what is, I'm sure you can tell by now, one of my absolute favorite movies, man. I love this film. I've always loved this film. This came out back in 1995, and ever since it hit the theater, I have been a huge fan of this movie. Now, we're going to talk about all of the things that make it cool, which I think make it one of the best, if not the best, submarine, deep water, military movies of all time. But for me, it doesn't get any better than Tony Scott's Crimson Tide. What I really love about this film goes from 0 to 10, but it's a gradual build. You start to see small cracks which end up becoming huge chasms by the time the film is over. But the first sign that there may be some issues between the two is at the dinner party. And again, this is one of my all-time favorite scenes, where Captain Ramsey questions or challenges Denzel Washington on his philosophy as it pertains to humanity and the art of war.
I don't understand.
What don't you understand?
Rodchenko is a fanatic, okay? He's a potential Hitler. Somebody should just step up and shoot him.
I have no problem with that.
Good.
Well, it's fanatics who make history. Hell, Patton was a fanatic. It's what made him great.
You think this guy's Patton? He's a dangerous lunatic, and he's threatening nuclear war, and he means it.
What's that make us, since we're the only nation ever dropped a nuclear bomb on anyone?
It makes us a prime target. I mean, there's half a dozen other third world countries with atom bombs who'd love to drop one on us.
That's right. That's why we should drop one on them. What are you, a communist? You have a problem with us dropping nuclear bombs in Japan?
Shut up, Doctor.
You think it was a mistake, Mr. Hunter?
Sir?
Using the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Well, if I thought that, sir, I wouldn't be here.
Interesting way you put that.
How'd I put it, sir?
Very carefully.
One of the things I really enjoy about that particular scene, the dinner scene, is that if you notice it and you really pay attention to that scene, you'll notice the way that Tony Scott positions the table. So of course you have Captain Ramsey, and he's at the head of the table because he is the captain. But to his right, he has Lieutenant Commander Hunter, his right-hand man, his second in command. And at the other end of the table, he has Lieutenant Zimmer, which later on becomes the XO once the mutiny begins. But just to the right of Denzel Washington is Viggo Mortensen's character, and that's Denzel Washington's right-hand man. So when you're watching that scene and you see the way they all interact, across from him is James Gandolfini, Tony Soprano. When you see the way that whole scene kind of comes together, the tension builds not only up between Denzel Washington and Captain Ramsey, but between the other members sitting at the table. Just notice as Lieutenant Commander Honey, aka Denzel Washington, makes his point and gives his point of view about what war is and how nuclear weapons should be utilized, look at Viggo Mortensen and his reaction, even though he doesn't say anything in the entire scene. He just sits back and he nods. Look at James Gandolfini's character, Tony Soprano. He sits there and he nods. The guy that plays Zimmer, look at his body language. It is an incredible scene and how the drama builds amongst the crew. And this is before there's any beef. This is before there's any attack. The stage is set as to how the group will ultimately divide throughout the course of the next hour and a half of the movie. I tell you, I love this movie.
You do qualify your remarks. Somebody asked me if we should have bombed Japan. A simple yes. By all means, sir. Drop that fucker. Twice. I don't mean to suggest that you're indecisive, Mr. Hunter. Not at all. Just, complicated. Of course, that's the way the Navy wants you. Me, they want it simple.
Well, you certainly fooled them, sir.
Be careful there, Mr. Hunter. That's all I got to rely on, being a simple-minded son of a bitch. Rickover gave me my command, a checklist, a target, and a button to push. All I had to know is how to push it. They'd tell me when. They seem to want you to know why.
I would hope they'd want us all to know why, sir.
At the Naval War College, it was metallurgy and nuclear reactors, not 19th century philosophy. War is a continuation of politics by other means. Von Clausewitz.
I think, sir, that what he was actually trying to say was a little more
Complicated?
Yes, the purpose of war is to serve a political end, but the true nature of war is to serve itself.
I'm very impressed. In other words, the sailor most likely to win the war is the one most willing to part company with the politicians and ignore everything except the destruction of the enemy. That you'd agree with that?
I'd agree that that's what Clausewitz was trying to say.
But you wouldn't agree with it?
No, sir, I do not. No, I just think that in the nuclear world, a true enemy can't be destroyed.
Attention on deck. Von Clausewitz will now tell us exactly who the real enemy is. Von?
In my humble opinion, in the nuclear world, the true enemy is war itself.
Now, as you can see, the two of them have very different philosophies, and even though it was unintentional, Denzel Washington sort of showed up the captain in front of all of their mates, and from that point on, it's total beef.